Hello and welcome to a video on how to make a model railroad or a model building that you can 3D print or use laser cutter. So we'll get started here, and if you don't know about Fusion, it is a free program. Links to the description and below. You just have to select the hobby feature as long as you're not selling it. Otherwise, obviously, read all their instructions for how to use their software. So to get started here, we're going to create a sketch, and so a lot of times you're going to see sketches in this program, and then you're going to extrude something to be able to create the material. So let's grab our rectangle. I don't want a 2-point rectangle because I want it to be on the center. So we're going to go to rectangles. You can see there's a 2, a 3-point. I'm going to do a center rectangle. I'm going to select the center point. And then as you can see, I have my rectangle, and I can adjust it with my mouse any way I want it, but I'm going to start putting in some numbers here, and it's going to dimension it for us. So I want it to be 80 millimeters wide. I'm going to hit tab. So it sets that top number in there by 40 deep. And obviously this is pretty big on our screen, so we can zoom out, use the middle mouse button to move around, and we have our wall. Now we need to add some thickness, so we're going to go up here to offset. We're going to click our line, our outline of our building. Now this, depending if you're 3D printing, you can make this whatever you want to be, but if you're going to 3D or if you're going to laser cut your building, you would want to set this thickness, in my opinion, to the thickness of the material you're working with. So if it's a 3mm MDF or basswood, set it to 3. So now that we've done that, we can hit OK. And now we could come out of here, extrude this up, make a 3D item, but you really would like to set up your doors and your windows before we get into that. So let's make a door. So we're going to left click on 1 point. This is a 2-point rectangle. We're going to change this to the door width, and so I've set a parameter. I'll talk more about that towards the end. And so this is automatically setting it to a set width, which I've set up as 10. Next, we need to, unfortunately, dimension these 2 points. I'm not sure why. I got to look into it, but we left click, and you can see how the blue line is just around the door. We go to the top line, and we say 3 millimeters. Then we would like to further constrain this, because if you see the blue lines on the left hand side of that door, it's blue. We want that black. Black means it's fully constrained, and it's going to stay there if we adjust the model in the future. So we're going to tell it to be 10 millimeters away from the right wall. So that's door number 1. We're going to make door number 2. Going to do the exact same thing over here. We'll dimension it. So from here to here, we're going to do door width. And then we need to set another dimension from this corner. We'll say it's going to be 15. And then just in case, we'll left click, select that sketch line, and it's already defined. All right, next, we're going to make some windows. And so I'd like a large window in the front of this house. And so I didn't have a parameter already set for this. So we'll left click. It's close to 30 millimeters, just for sake of even numbers. We'll left click both the left side of that window and the left side of the building, and when we select it, we'll make it 15 from the side, and now that should be fully constrained. We'll double check, and it is. Okay. Next, we're going to create a window on the side of this house. We'll make it a 2-point rectangle. Once again there, we'll dimension from here to here, and I like that to be about 15.5. It looks like it's somewhat centered, but we need to dimension how wide this window is, so we'll go to window. They're both height. Interesting. I typed in the wrong thing. But the bottom one seems to be the best. It's 8 millimeters. So I can go up to modify, change parameters, go to my window height, that's 8, switch that to window width, hit OK, and you can see how that's the same. It still works. All right, last but not least, I want to do another window over here. We'll dimension that as well. And we're working in the solid workspace. And I want to go back to my sketch, so I'm going to double click here. Oh, sorry, we click on the sketch here. I misclicked. All right, so we'll go to sketch dimension, sketch that window, window width, and then we're going to dimension it from the side. We'll say it's 8. And then we're going to do one more window, and that's because I'm going to show you how to pattern the windows when you have a flat surface. You can pattern them all the way around the building, but typically if you can create them on your own, pattern a few things, because if you start patterning too much, Fusion 360 or your computer is going to really struggle. I tried to pattern like 40 different things, and it did not like that. So then I'm going to just finish dimensioning this. We'll say it's 5 millimeters away from that doorway, and then we're going to hit Finish Sketch. As you can see, we have our doorway, other doorway, 1, 2, 3, 4 windows, and now it's time to extrude. So extruding is adding the material to your building. We're going to select the entire area, even though the windows and that are kind of separate here. And then the distance, I'm going to change to floor height. You can type in any number you want. We're going to new body, just means that it's a new structure, a new piece. We'll get into more of that in future videos. We'll hit OK. So now we have our rectangle. Doesn't really look like a house, but we're getting there. So next we're going to extrude again, but we have to go up here to the top left for sketches. Turn our sketch 2 back on. And what we want to do is left click and hold. We can see how this pops up. I can select the face, the profile, or the face of the building. I want the profile. Now I can select through, click the other door. We want it to start from the profile plane, meaning the bottom where the sketch is at. We want it to be in one direction, distance, and then we need to change the distance. This is the height. So this is our door height. And boom, when I hit enter again, double tap it, we have our doors. So now let's do our windows. So we're going to extrude one more time. I'm going to left click, profile, and this time I'm going to do these 3. I'm not doing this one because I'm going to do a rectangular pattern on this one, and I'll show you what to do with that one in just a moment. But we don't want our windows to start from the bottom because they start, higher up in a building. So we want it to start offset, which is really nice. So we can type in a number, we can raise this up. That's actually automatically doing the distance, forgive me. So for the offset, we have to type in the number. I want it to be probably 7.5 millimeters up in the air. Then my distance, I want to be the window height. So when I do the window height, it looks maybe a tad tall compared to how the doors are. So maybe window height -5, -3. So as you can see, you can also do simple math or more complicated math inside the distance. So you can set parameters and then multiply, divide, or subtract and add to them. So we're going to, I think that looks good. We'll hit OK. So now we'll go back to the back portion of the building. We're going to extrude this profile for this window. Same thing. We're going to offset. I think I did 7.5. Distance was the window height -3. Okay, so now we have another window. So now we're going to pattern this, which is super helpful in instances. So we're going to select rectangular pattern in the top left. We're going to go over here to our rectangular pattern area. We're going to hit features. We're going to select the window. And then the axis is, are we going horizontally? Are we going up and down? And selecting one of the axes. Now, if you can't select one on your building, you can always go back to the original panes or axis. So I'm going to do the top of this building. And then I want it to be 2, we could do 3 windows. We're going to left click this one on the side, and we're just going to space them out. Now we can adjust the spacing over here on the side, one direction, extent, or spacing, but I think for the sake of this video, that looks pretty good. So we're going to hit OK, and now we just added 2 more windows very quickly. And there's a lot of windows on the back of that house. So it's coming along, but we need the roof. And so one of the ways we can do that is create another sketch. I'm going to create it on the side of this building. Now, you can see how there's these black lines, and you would think that you could connect to them, but you actually have to do something else first. You have to go up to Create, and then Project. Select the area you want to project to this sketch, so the sketch we're currently in. And project that one. Bring the project thing over here, hit OK. Now you can see the purple lines. That means that those lines are now projected in my current sketch, my newest one, and I can go off of those and everything's going to stay connected. So we're going to create a triangle. Go from here to here. That's my first one. Now this one's pretty easy because the center point is right in the middle of the building, but I'm going to create a construction line just to show you what that does. So on a construction line, you enable it. I'm going to go to the middle of this building, left click, and go up. So that's a construction line that I can use as a reference point for my actual drawing. So that will not go to like a 3D printer, laser cutter, it's just for reference. It can be super helpful. So we're going to go over here to the left side with a line sketch, come to the middle. I'm going to start from that top point, come back down to the bottom right, and you can see we have a shape there because it's all in blue. So at this point, it might click something so you can hit escape, get back out of it, and now we need to dimension this. So I'm going to go from the top of the triangle to the bottom, and because I have that construction line, I only need one dimension to make this fully constrained. So I'm going to make it, let's say 14 millimeters from the top, not so high of an angle. At this point, we can finish our sketch. And so you can see the sketch is on the side of the building. So I'm going to flip us around. And now we're going to extrude. I think you're getting the hint of what we do here. But in this instance, instead of dragging this across, which we could do, I want it to snap to it and be just easier for me. So what I'm going to do in the extrude tab is I'm going to start from the profile plane, which is where it's at, but I want the extent type to go to object. So it's a body, a face, or a plane that you select. So I want it to go from there to the edge of this wall. So when I click that, it automatically snaps to it. Very nice. So we hit OK, and now we have our building. Isn't that awesome? So now that we have our building, obviously if we were to 3D model this and print it, we could make clapboard siding go up the side of it, put in bricks. You could even put in bricks for your a laser cutter, but there's better ways to do that. So for the purposes of just laser cutting a building, I now can select these areas and they will automatically save the dimensions perfectly, so I can send it to Lightburn or whatever your laser cutter software is as perfect SVG files. So let's show you how to do that. But first, before I do that, let's say you make your structure and you look at it and you go, man, those windows, I want to be a little bit bigger. So what we can do, because I set parameters and I program them that way, I can go to modify, change parameters, and in the door width, I can say, yeah, the door's a little small too. So let's go up here to this one. And let's change this. And as you see, when I hit enter here, it's going to change the door and make the width wider. Boom. That is a larger door. It's almost like a double wide. But did you notice the windows also shifted? That's because they were constrained off the side of the door. So there's reasons why you might want to constrain something differently so that way you can adjust your model. So let's change that back to 10 millimeters. We're going to go to our windows. Let's make those 10 millimeters. And when I hit OK, I want you to see what happens on this side. If you recall, this window here, right here, was our initial window, and then it patterned out our window. So when we change parameters, not only does it change it for our window, but it also changes the pattern because the pattern is going off of the original window. So it's very cool how to adjust this. Now, let's say we didn't want a window on this side of the building. So on this side, we're just like, you know what, that doesn't look very good. We can go to our original sketch. We can come in here and delete our window. And then when we finish it, you can see how it broke things. So obviously there is some change with that. I can hit Control Z, put that all back in there, leave it hunky-dory, and now we're fine. Likely, I think the problem with that was because we did it to object and it didn't like to compute that. But you can see how you can accidentally break your own model, but you can fix it really easily. I could have just undid it until I got to the point where I wanted. So how do we get this to a laser cutter? How do we get this to a 3D printer? We can go to Utilities. When we go to Utilities, there's automatically a 3D print that shows up here, converts it to SDL, exactly what you want to do. This you do have to add on to Fusion 360 as an add-on. However, it's very easy to do. It's free, just like Fusion 360 for hobbyists. Now, if you want to sell these things, obviously, you might have to buy the commercial license or whatever. But so this is called Export to Origin. This company made this awesome add-on for their item, device, whatever, and we can use it for our laser cutters. So let's left-click that. You can see it's called Shaper. I think that's the brand, or maybe the model. Shaper, I think, is the model. Origin's the company. But regardless, we can add this in. I'll show another video on how you can do that. And what we want to do is the input type, we want to be a face. And normally you can't see that unless you click Advanced, so you might want to click that. Click Faces. We can click the front face of our building. When I left-click, I hit OK. I can, as you see here, SVG file, export. So I'm going to say front face of building. I'll save it. And so now I have the front face. So you would have to continue to do that numerous times for the left side, back side, or right side, left side, back side. If you wanted to do the roof, you could also do that as well. And so it'll set up that for you. And I think for as far as the laser cutter goes, the only downside is you might have to like make one side a 45-degree angle for those to butt up. But otherwise, they're accurate. And that's, I think, the most exciting part about this, is that when you send it to the laser cutter, you don't have to worry about cutting it out on card. It's going to work how you want. So let's see what that file looks like. Let's go to my Explorer, 3D printable files, front face of building. You can see here, I don't know why it wants to open with Microsoft Edge. I want to open it in Lightburn. So as I open it, you can see how there is my model. Now, it wasn't upside down, right? So we can see how that looked fine. So all we have to do is rotate this in Lightburn. I like to group them first because the window does not come grouped with the file and the SVG. So I group it, and then I can hit the period button in Lightburn, flip it around, and there you go. And obviously you could have cut it upside down, it wouldn't have mattered. So that's a very quick and easy way to make a model building. Free program, awesome for hobbyists if you want to do it by yourself. And then you can get really fancy and go, okay, you know what I'd like to do is I'd like to create the door and then 3D print that, but laser cut my building. And that's where I think we can really speed up the process, because you don't have to 3D print the walls, but you can make your laser cut buildings really elevate without having to purchase other features. So if you'd like to see more content, please hit the like and subscribe if you like, and then we'll have more videos coming out. Thanks for joining in.